Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the early pro football teams on Pigskin Dispatch, we discuss the Moline Universal Tractors, a team we know very little about, but they had an important part in football history. We'll cover their story and more coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pigpen, your portal to positive football history. As we pour through the vast history of football in America, we stumble across teams that have brief mentions or are footnotes in history. The Moline Universal Tractors team is one of those franchises that we've heard about, read about, and even know some games that they played in. But who and what were the squad from Moline? Well, first of all, Moline is a town in western Illinois and is part of the Quad Cities region, along with Rock Island, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, and Bettendorf, Iowa. It's the largest of those four cities in the Quad Cities. The Moline Plow Company was a manufacturer of plows and other farm implements headquartered in the city of Moline right around the turn of the century, 19th century into the 20th century. As was common after World War I, larger industrial companies would sponsor employee athletic teams in baseball and football to compete against rivals from around the area and give some company pride. The Moline Plow Company, in fact, did this and had a competitive gridiron squad. The group of pigskin athletes is sometimes referred to as the Moline Athletics teams, but most historic records dub them as the Moline Universal Tractors, a name that has a bit of an advertisement from their sponsor and employer in it. The Universal Tractor product was a subsidiary of the Moline Plow Company. In 1915, the Moline Plow Company purchased the Universal Tractor Company, which at the time headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. The farm implement producer wanted to have their own tractor to load the goods that they produced on and be able to sell a complete package to their customers. The Moline engineers redesigned the Universal template until they had a farm machine that they could proudly place their name on, and this was called the Moline Universal Tractor. The Moline Plow Company invested some money into an automobile division in 1916, in which they called the Stevens, named after one of their founders. Right around 1918, the Willys Overland Company bought out the Moline Plow interest, but still ran the farm unit under the Moline Plow name. You may recognize the name Willys, as it was the original company that manufactured Jeeps for the U.S. military. Though the Tractors were never a member of the NFL's original group named the American Professional Football Association, or in the NFL itself, they played in 2 official APFA games. They squared off against the Decatur Staleys and the Chicago Cardinals during the inaugural APFA season of 1920. The Moline 11, in fact, competed in 7 games total that year, only 2 against APFA opponents, and had a 2-5 record. In fact, the game against the Decatur Staleys, who under George Halas eventually became known as the Chicago Bears, played their very first game as an APFA member against the Moline 11 on October 3rd, 1920, which was the kickoff to the 1920 season. The game had a little bit of fanfare and some buildup in the Decatur newspaper that day. The top official of the era, Walter Eckersall, was hired to officiate the contest, and the Tractors arrived in town the evening prior, brooding with confidence. The Moline squad put forth a roster composed of the left end Winderquist, tackle Mullinex, Swanson at left guard, Soderstrom at center. Hoyden and Burns were the right tackle and right guards on the line, and Coles was the right end. In the backfield, the signals were barked out by quarterback Woodiot, and a running back trio of Whistle, Allen, and E. Swanson would power the offense. The starch workers from Decatur pummeled the Tractor makers, though, 20-0 in the 1920 season opener for both teams. On October 10th, the Tractors earned their first win in a home game against the Clinton Independents, 20-0. A week later, the Tractors faced another APFA foe, the Racine Cardinals, or Chicago Cardinals as they're known. And the Redbirds also walloped the Moline squad, this time to the tune of 33-0. At some point mid-season, the Moline Universal Tractors merged with the Peoria Caterpillars, and the squad was often referred to from then on as the Peoria Tractors. The next opponent was the Rockford Athletic Club, and it must have been a good matchup, but Moline fell short on the scoreboard 8-14. A couple more losses by the tune of 0-7 to the Elgin American Legion, and the Moline Indians were separated by the team's other victory when they spanked the Kewanee Walrus 26-0. Nothing much was heard about the team after that 1920 season, but our friends at the Vintage American Football Organization and our friend Mr. Herrera have rekindled the name of the modern games played by the old rules. And so the Moline Universal Tractors team lives on in the Vintage American Football games. Make sure you check out their schedule on vintageamericanfootball.com to see when Moline, if they're going to be playing in the 2022 season. I'm sure we'll hear some more about those games coming up in future podcasts and website articles on pigskindispatch.com. And we're glad that you could join us here once again for another one of these great early pro teams that we can preserve the football history. We thank you and hope you have a great Gridiron Day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.